Hanging 54-inch commercial vinyl on a ceiling. Most of you would never even consider doing it. But commercial vinyl has made its way into residential applications. On the ceiling here, you're looking at 54-inch fabric-backed vinyl. Now you know from hanging wallpaper that it's heavy. Wallpaper has a rating 20 ounce, 30 ounce. This is commercial vinyl, and when you put paste on the back of it, it's heavy. So how do you do it? Well, I want to show you the ceiling before I tell you the way I hang it. As you think about how you would hang 54-inch vinyl on wallpaper, how many people do you think you would use? What would you do to make it lighter? Would you do anything? Can you do anything? Well, I can tell you there's a way to do it that'll make your life a whole lot easier. Let's go into the pasting room and show you how to do this. Or let me show you how I do it. I'll see you on the next frame. So this is our 54-inch goods. This is the product, J. Josephson. Okay? And this is the product we're hanging on the ceiling. Well, the first thing you're going to do, if you haven't already figured it out, is you're going to trim your wallpaper down to make it practical. You want to go ahead and hang 54-inch vinyl on the ceiling? Or do you want to hang 27-inch commercial vinyl on the ceiling? Which would you rather do? On the next frame, I'll show you how to trim it down. Yes, this is the sheet in half. So if you want to see a detailed video on ceiling wallpaper installation, I published one in July. You can take a look at that. And I have others. You can YouTube Spencer Colgan wallpaper ceiling. You can do this alone, or you can do this with a helper. Most of my ceiling installations I've done alone, by myself. It's really up to you. But if you're the installer, you are the lead person on the scaffold, for obvious reasons. And so, with two people holding the wallpaper, you can, especially vinyl, which is heavy, you can get it up more easily. And that's why I opted to have a helper. So, can you do this with one person? Sure. When you cut this down to 27 inches, of course you can do it with one person. But now, what I'm trying to demonstrate is that you can hang 54-inch wallpaper on a ceiling. Now, I have many ceiling installations in which I do the ceiling alone. But I never did a commercial 54-inch vinyl. I've done 54-inch grass cloth on the ceiling, but never 54-inch vinyl, which is a lot heavier. And so you might be puzzled. How do you do it? How do you go about getting it on the ceiling? Can you do it? And this video addresses that question. Cut the wallpaper in half. Why would you go about putting this on a ceiling without making it work for you? This is the material that we're talking about. This is the stuff you see in hotels. Okay? So I'm on the last sheet of the wallpaper. And so I didn't think of doing the video until the last sheet. So the way I trim it throughout the installation is very similar to what I'm going to do now, but it is different. It's a lot of work to trim it, to get the self edges off, these white edges. But now, I don't need them both off, so I don't want to waste time. I need a 40-inch piece wide of wallpaper for my last sheet. So I'm going to show you how I precisely trim off the wallpaper. Okay, so I'm gonna make a mark. I'm gonna do, we said, all right, let's make it 42. Now I'm using a washable marker, okay? So I have my wallpaper edge. Can you come over here? I have the edge on the edge of the table, and I've taken into account the space, that it's not affecting my measurement. So I'm doing 42. Now, as I'm doing this, just think about yourself, how you would cut it in half. First of all, you would turn it around and just measure. You must be square on the table, meaning that the selvage edge has to be on the edge of the wood. And then you pull the line all the way over and you cut it at 27 inches, where you start making your marks at 27. And you do this every 2 feet so that you can put your straight edge on all of your red marker lines and trim down, okay? So with that in mind, now I'm doing 42 because I'm at the end of the install. But I'm showing you how you go about. Make believe this is 27 inches. Make believe for now. Bring it to the edge again. Even though I don't need this precise line, I don't need it, but I'm doing it for the folks at home so they can understand what I'm talking about. Okay, 42, we do it again. Okay, so in your mind, these are all the marks at 27 inches. And you understand now. So that 27 would be here, and you keep making the marks down. Okay. You might say, why would you hang that? Some people, well, here's the answer. I don't shy away from challenges. Yeah, it's a pain. It is a pain, believe me, it's a pain. But there were other parts of the job that I had to do, like different rooms. So I didn't want to say, I don't want to do that. You know, I'm not in the habit of telling customers no because something's difficult. There's enough people out there who do that. And that's fine. If something's too difficult, it's better to turn down a job than to fail at it or not have your heart into it. You know, that's fine. If something's too high, I'm not installing that. I'm not falling off of a ladder 25 feet in the air. That's my limit, 25. And the customer has to provide all of the scaffolding. They get a company in there. I'm not touching scaffolding. So the customer does that. I tell them, call this company, they'll install the scaffold, get a deposit. Gotta get a deposit. Okay. The reason I decided to do the video, as I said before, was, hey, this is unique, you know? And sometimes we don't think out of the box as human beings. Like, how am I going to do this? This is impossible. Well, if you just cut it in half of your problem is eliminated. Okay, lost the cover to my pen. That's all right. Oh, there it is. Okay, so keeping in mind that this is 27. So you're probably wondering, how am I going to get that selvage off? But some of you have already figured it out. Not that hard now, now that you see what we're doing. So now let's get the this is our 72-inch straight edge. Now, I'll show you something about this. Come on this side, please. Take your straight edge. With two hands spread out about 2 feet. You're just going to bring it. You're going to bring it right to that point where it's consistent on every red mark. Okay? So what I'll do is I will leave my guide uncut. I want that red mark intact for the next trim. There's a reason I do it. You'll see why. Now, see, I didn't cut my red mark. It's easier to use the red mark intact than it is to use this as a guide. This moves, so I want the red mark to be my guide. Okay, so again, I go up to this one, I bring it in, come down to that one, I'm ready to trim. I leave this one intact now for my next and last, trim. Okay. Some people will say, why don't you have 2 tables? And I would say, you're right, why don't you send me one? I actually left my table in a job, I don't know where I left it. And customer didn't call me and say, hey, you left this here. They probably don't know it's in their garage. I suspect it, I don't know that it's in their garage. But anyway. Okay. Okay, so now, remember, we're making believe this is my 27 inches, right? So this is half of your wallpaper strip. Remember, we're making believe. And so now you got to get that off. Well, now you good guys have figured it out. You're going to use the selvage as your guide, right? So what you're going to do to one half, you're going to do to the other. So I only have to show you what I'm going to do to one half of it. Let's get to it. So, the rest is easy. We're going to trim off the selvage, but I want to show them. Can you come on this side? Right over here, this way. Just come over here. All right, and then you just walk backwards with your camera, focusing on this selvage. There you go. So now here's the thing. If you block If you only go up to the white edge, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail. Because you're gonna cover that white edge invariably up and down your trim line. You're gonna cover it. So why don't you just create, just hold the camera right there. You're going to create in your mind a certain acceptable exposure of the pattern, color, that's consistent. Come down the camera, come down with your camera, all the way down, all the way down. We're going to keep it, I call it a hairline. I leave a hairline exposed, and I keep that hairline consistent all the way down my trim. Okay, let's go back up to the, and so, I know that I'm taking off about a 64th of an inch of this. And you have to have confidence that what you're doing is consistent, that's all. Okay. If she moves on you, move it back. Okay, see that? Now, take a look at your selvage. It should have the same amount of pattern color on it all throughout, which tells you that you've cut it square. Come down here behind me. We'll do the same thing here. So now, okay. Now, if you mess this up with commercial vinyl, if you mess it up, there is a remedy. And I only mean a small mess up. Small mess up. Get yourself a heat gun. Get yourself a heat gun if you have a hairline in your seam. When you're putting it up, heat it up. After, don't make it too hot. After it's touchable, where it's not going to burn your fingers, push it together like this. It'll stretch the vinyl. Don't heat it up too much. Oh. Come down here, over here. Let's see how we did with this. Okay, let's go for it. Nice. Show them how I'm moving my fingers here. These fingers. These ones, see these? Okay, just show my hand. I want them to see how they need to keep the guide in place and just move their fingers like this, like as if they're walking. And that's it. And there you go. So now we have our selvage, hopefully nice and squarely trimmed off like a machine does it. Our other edge is square, meaning now both edges of the wallpaper are parallel. So if you roll it up tight, you will see a perfect cut where it is consistently 42 inches. And that's how you get, we're using the selvage and our tape measure to make our cuts square. And that's the trick in this video. We used one side, measuring from the edge of the selvage to the 27-inch mark. After we used the selvage to do that, we don't need it anymore. We can use the edge of the white line on the selvage to trim it off. On the other side, we do the same thing. We trim off the selvage using the straightness of the selvage and the demarcation line of the selvage to get it off. If you do that, you should have a sheet of wallpaper perfectly parallel from edge to edge. Let's get the sheet up. Okay, we got that sheet up. And that is how we install the 54-inch vinyl on a ceiling. I would like to know how you do it. There's lots of shadows here. That's actually a light coming in against the ceiling. As I move around, you'll see some of the light shadows change. So, tell me what you think. How would you install 54-inch vinyl on a ceiling? Now, we didn't discuss pattern. If it's a patterned wall covering, would you do the same thing? The answer is absolutely, I would. Thank you for watching. Please click on like and subscribe.